Welcome back to the Deaf Series. This is episode number 18. Today we are going to go back to our films, talking about 11 movie stars where they passed before the release of the movie, okay? Now it's very sad anytime someone dies, but it's even more sad that they didn't even get to finish making the film and that they had to find other ways to finish the film because the people passed during filming. Okay, so Hollywood is full of sad tales of promising and big name stars who passed away before their time. In many cases, these actors and actresses died right after filming a movie or show. Their acting ability, combined with the curiosity of fans waiting to say goodbye to someone whose previous roles meant so much to them, has led to some actors having their last roles be some of their most successful. Here are just a few talented fans adored who left us with one final role to remember them by. And also, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to check out previous episodes of the Deaf series as well as my main series, the prison series, and check out my Friday the 13th series. Okay, so back in 1956, James Dean as Jet Rink in Giant, that's the character he played. So let's see what happened to him. Okay, so this guy, his biggest role came in 1955 with Rebel Without a Cause. Before his death, he had completed filming on his last film, Giant, starring alongside heavyweights like Elizabeth Taylor and Rock Hudson. Dean plays a Texas ranch hand with big dreams who falls for his boss's wife. Dean would earn an Academy Award nomination for the role. So Dean was cool. He was considered a cool guy, so much that 67 years after his passing in a car accident in 1955 at the young age of 24, you still see posters that focus on his timeless good looks. As big of a star as he was, Dean only made 3 films in his career. Isn't that interesting? That was all he did and still received a lot of fame from it. But I guess, yeah, during his passing at the age of 24, that was the end of it. And he passed in a car accident. So I guess they had to figure out other ways to promote the movie without him. Okay, so next on our list is Bruce Lee as Lee in Enter the Dragon. And this is back in 1973, by the way. Okay, so just like the previous guy, Dean, Bruce Lee, he's another actor who, despite being gone for decades, still has a massive impact on pop culture. He's idolized by everyone from teens to elderly. Lee died in 1973 at the age of 32. There were a few projects released after his death, including 1978's Game of Death, but his biggest is the one that was released just a few months after his passing. Regarded by many as the greatest martial arts film ever made, Enter the Dragon made Lee an immortal icon who can never forget the image of his ripped physique and bloody scratches on his chest. The fight scene continues to leave audiences in awe even a half a century later. Okay, next on our list is Vic Morrow as Bill Connor in The Twilight Zone, the movie. This is back in 1983. Okay, so this film has the unfortunate distinction of not only being the actor's last, but also the reason for his passing. In 1982, the veteran actor Vic Morrow, was filming his part for an anthology film based on the popular TV series. Okay, his segment was directed by John Landis, an American werewolf in London, trading places, and found Morrow playing a racist man who gets a taste of what it's like to be discriminated against. In a stunt gone wrong, Morrow and his 2 child actors were killed by a helicopter during filming a scene. The segment would be reworked and released, and Morrow would forever be remembered as a hero. Very tragic, right, people? Next on our list is the movie The Poltergeist from 1988, Heather O'Rourke as Carol Ann Freeling. Okay, so Tobe Hooper's 1982 horror film Poltergeist is regarded as one of the scariest movies ever made. It was a star-making performance for 7-year-old Heather O'Rourke, who showed range beyond her years as a young girl who is taken to the other side by spirits. Her uttering of "they're here" is one of the horror cinema's most iconic lines. 6 years later, O'Rourke was filming the second sequel with her Carol Ann character, now living with her aunt and uncle in Chicago, when the actress became ill 6 months after production wrapped. O'Rourke died at the tender age of 12. After her death, no more sequels were made to the original franchise. And I do want to speak about that. That's what I was saying, people, about playing in evil and demonic movies. It's almost like they curse you. I don't know if it has something to do with having to jump into that evil, demonic character, and it's like that does something to you and your soul, or based on certain directors and production people bringing real skeletons and evil things to set to make it even more spookier, and then that causes all this bad stuff to happen. This is the reason why it seems like they don't make scary movies like this anymore, because it must be really tragic, the stuff that really happens after it's all over in the end. And also, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to like the video and don't forget to subscribe. Now let's jump back into it. Next on the list is a movie from 1994. Brandon Lee as Eric Driven in The Crow. Brandon Lee was only 8 years old when his father, Bruce Lee, passed away. Brandon was on the cusp of superstardom as well. So, like Vic Morrow, he was killed during the filming of his last movie, The Crow, which sees a man re-resurrected as he seeks revenge on those who killed his fiancée. Would be one of the biggest hits of the 90s. It's also one of the hardest movies to watch, knowing that its star passed away during production. During a scene in which the crow is shot, a freak accident saw Lee shot for real. Most of the movie had already been filmed, making Lee's work salvageable and turning him into a legend after his tragic death. That is very sad, people. This is Brandon Lee in The Crow right there from 1994. Yeah, it sounds like a setup, people, and it's very sad and it's very tragic, the stuff that happened. And it's like, why did it have to happen? If he'd known he was going to pass away from doing this movie, I doubt he would have wanted to do this movie. Yeah, I can't get over it. And if you read the description of the movie, it kind of sounds evil. The description was, this movie is about a man resurrected. Just hear it. As he seeks revenge on those who killed his fiancée, would be one of the biggest hits of the 90s. Okay. That tells you about things. The description of the movie tells you the moral of the story. Okay, so next on our list is a movie from 1998 that starred Chris Farley as Bartholomew Hunt in Almost Heroes. It was one of Chris Farley's best parts of Saturday Night Live during the 90s, and his transition to feature films was a success with 1995's Tommy Boy. After follow-ups like Black Sheep and Beverly Hills Ninja, Farley was on the cusp of becoming a dependable leading man. He even had been cast as Shrek, but a drug overdose ended his life in late 1997. His last film, a buddy comedy set in the 1800s with Matthew Perry, was not one of his best, but released 6 months after he died. It was a fitting way for fans to say Goodbye to a comedian who lives to make others laugh. And here's a little picture of Chris Farley for those of you who are like, let's see if I left out some of these people so we can get some pics. This is Heather O'Rourke in The Poltergeist, because we did talk about her. Some of you probably are like, who are these people? And here's Vic Morrow in that movie, The Twilight Zone. Okay, let's see if that. We all know who Bruce Lee is, but I'll still show you a picture of him anyway in the movie Entering the Dragon, because we did talk about him. And then we also talked about James Dean as Jet Rink and Giant in 1956. Kind of black and white makes it much harder to see. And then we're going to jump back into the countdown. And of course, on my last episode of the Death series, episode number 17, I did talk about Aaliyah and her passing in a plane crash in the Bahamas in 2001. And it's very, very sad. Very, very sad, people. It was her last film, and she didn't even get to finish filming because of what had occurred. And again, she played an evil, demonic demon in the movie. And that's what I was saying. When you play this stuff, it's like it does something to you. You're embodying the evilness that comes with being a demon. Which is why you really, again, you should not play it. If offered the role, you should try to turn it down. Try to turn it down. And it's kind of like visiting places that have mummies and like King Tut, you know. And if there's bad things dealing with that mummy or whatever, then maybe that's not the one to visit. And then you return to America and then there's something wrong with you, and then you act like, I don't know how this happened to me, you know. You sure you don't know? And you went to where you went and it's not hitting you on the inside about why this is happening to you? Think about it, people. Okay, so, back to it. Here's Aaliyah in Queen of the Dam in 2002. That is a picture of her, and I know you guys know the R&B singer Aaliyah. So at only 21 years old, Aaliyah was at the top of the world as a successful pop star who had transitioned into being an actress with a role in the well-received film Romeo Must Die. Her second feature had her on a course to be a movie star, as she would play the lead alongside Stuart Townsend in a loosely based adaptation of novelist Anne Rice's work, Queen of the Dam. Before the film was released, Aaliyah was tragically killed in a plane crash in the Bahamas after filming her Rock the Boat music video. Critics weren't kind to the film, but Aaliyah's popularity led to it being #1 at the box office on its opening weekend. And it's sad to even have to report stuff like that. It's very sad. Okay, moving on to Heath Ledger as the Joker in the movie The Dark Knight in 2008. Very sad how this stuff happens, people. Ledger was already one of the most popular actors in Hollywood thanks to films like 10 Things I Hate About You and Brokeback Mountain, but the buzz was massive when he was cast as the Joker in Christopher Nolan's sequel to Batman Begins. An accidental overdose ended Ledger's life in January of 2008. Months before the movie that would make him a movie icon was released. The star... Okay, so they said the film smashed box office records. I don't even know what they're talking about there. But look, Ledger's take on the Joker is still widely seen as his best movie ever. Okay, and they said the Academy Awards agreed, awarding him an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Okay, so next on our list is a movie from 2014, Philip Seymour Hoffman as Plutar Heavesby in Hunger Games, Part 1. Mockingjay Part 1. So Philip Seymour Hoffman was one of the cinema's greatest. character roles, proof that can be found in 2005's Cashapp. I don't even understand why they have some of these movies with these hard titles, where Hoffman's take on the author resulted in him taking home an Oscar for Best Actor in 2013. He became a part of the ensemble for the film adaptation of the popular Hunger Games young adult series. The first film got considerable attention from a new generation of moviegoers. And that's him. He doesn't really look so recognizable. Kinda, but kinda not. Becoming a worldwide sensation at the height of his success, however, Hoffman would sadly die of a drug overdose. Hoffman had already appeared in the first sequel in 2013, but both Mockingjay Part 1 and Mockingjay Part 2 were released, and Hoffman died during the filming of Part 2 and had not finished all his scenes, but director Francis Lawrence refused to use CGI to make up for the late actor's scene. Instead, a scene that was meant to take place between Jennifer Lawrence and Hoffman was instead filmed as Haymatch Woody Harrelson reading a letter from... Okay, so that was how that ended. But, I think the moral of this story to people is that, again, what I had said before, and I'll say it again. You might be famous, but no, that does not mean you are invincible, and it does not mean that you are living a happy life. And that just because they're rich doesn't mean they feel happy or that they're living a happy life. Of course, Beyonce and Taylor Swift are going to try to make it seem like I live a better life than all of you, and I am happy with my husband, and I have kids that love and adore me, and I'm the most famous person in the world, however they want you to think of them, but you never know how they could be feeling on the inside. And then it's just probably a constant addiction to keeping yourself famous. And you don't want to feel forgotten about if you're that famous. You constantly feel the need to have to stay out there. Okay, I'm off tour right now, but I need to still go to the award shows so the people they don't get me out their thoughts, because I have to stay relevant. You never know what these celebrities are going through. Their work is their life. You spend all your time on your work instead of spending it with your actual family, instead of spending it actually doing normal people things, But that's how it is, people. Okay, so next on our list is a movie from 2015, Paul Walker as Brian O'Connor in Furious 7. In the early 2000s, few stars were as big as Walker. Thanks to the Fast and the Furious franchise, guys wanted to be like him and women swooned over him. Along with Vin Diesel, he made the series one of the highest grossing films of the 21st century. However, his passion sadly caused his tragic death, as Walker was killed in a high-speed car crash while filming Fast and the Furious 7 was still ongoing. In 2015, the film was released in his honor. While Walker had filmed most of his scenes before his death, visual effects and the help of his brother as stand-ins gave fans closure. His last scene with Diesel is one of the most heartbreaking goodbyes. Oh no, that's sad. And there it goes. Paul Walker. There he goes. Yeah, it's all sad. Okay, so we have one more person on the list, and that is Chadwick Boseman as Levy Green in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom in 2020. Thanks to his role as T'Challa in Black Panther and multiple Marvel Universe films, Boseman was an action film king. He was more than that, though, having wowed audiences and critics alike with a string of acclaimed biopics such as 42 and Marshall and what would be his last role. Boseman played, that's really sad, a troubled musician in the 1920s. And I am going to show you a picture of Mr. Boseman. So sad, right, people? Boseman died of colon cancer 3 months before the film's release. He and co-stars Viola Davis helped to make the film a critical darling. It would go on to be nominated for numerous Oscars, with Boseman himself nominated for Best Actor. And that is all I have for you, you guys. Those were movies where stars died before it being released, and I again hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to check out my past death series and my prison series, and please like and subscribe. I will see you guys later.